Marduk Motorsport is in a crisis. There is a major detail which I overlooked and haven't really thought about until someone on Twitter notified me the other day. Basically, when we signed Lewis Hamilton at the end of last season, the prerequisite for having him on board was that we needed to have the third best car or better. Now, at the time, that was fine because we won the Constructors and life was all amazing. But this season, as you guys know, we're struggling. We can't even score points. I think we're like 8th or 9th in the Constructors or something ridiculous like that. And Lewis Hamilton's contract renewal will be coming up very shortly because of the shortened season. I think after, Austria around then. We need to have third or better in the Constructors by then if we want to retain Lewis for the rest of the season. Now, we've got all the money in the world to keep him, but that's kind of a clause in the contract of Lewis. So he could be off to another team. He might be a free agent. We might have to get Sebastian Vettel. Either way, this is a major crisis for the team. We can't have Lewis stepping out halfway through the season. That could be bad for sponsors. It could be bad for, well, everything. So I need your help. What do we do for the rest of the season? We've got 100 mil in the bank. Do we potentially ruin the career mode experience? See, the thing is with this game, let's just step out of the career mode universe for a second and just talk logically about F1 2020. We know that the balance of things can be, I don't know, very skewed if you have higher resources, and that's the reason why I haven't really spent any additional money on upgrading facilities, particularly when it comes to resource point generation. I think that's massively overpowered. As we saw with our rise to power in Season 2, we went from midfield to winning very, very quickly, and we won our first race at this very venue 2 seasons ago, Season 2. So the thing that I'm posing to you guys is, do we essentially maybe spoil or ruin the career mode experience for future seasons and try and catch up now in the short term? Or do we leave things how they are, the balance of power as it is? We are catching the teams around us, but it's a very gradual, it's a very slow, and I think fair rate of development that we've got going at the moment, because I feel like the other teams have finally caught up to our facility upgrading prowess and resource point generation, etc. Or do we almost treat this as like a FIFA thing where we have like a billionaire takeover, whatever. Spend the money, upgrade the resources, and then catch up, and then hope like hell that we can get third in the Constructors by Austria, which is not easy. Definitely not easy. Let me know down in the comments. I'm going to leave a straw poll down there. Please vote and really think about this, because like I said, it depends on the kind of career mode experience you want. Do you want to see us continue to struggle, or do you want to see us fighting at the front? That's essentially what I'm posing to you guys. Let me know, and I'll definitely take your feedback under consideration. So here we go then, finally getting into this video. We're going to talk about the weekend proper and just assess where we're at, really. So heading into this one, we made some minor upgrades. I think weight reduction upgrade, might have been a downforce upgrade as well. I think one failed, to be honest, so we'll need to fix that up, I believe. I'm not sure. I might be remembering stuff from the future. But either way, qualifying is underway, and as you can see, it's raining. Now, I'm actually embracing these conditions because it was the same weekend we had in Season 2 of this My Team journey, which I think led us to our first pole position and our first overall victory. So if anything is going to drag us towards the front is a mirror of that weekend. So hopefully we can see ourselves get up into Q2. Yeah, Q2 is probably the ceiling of where we can go. There's no way we can get to Q3. We're still not anywhere near that level. But let's hope we can get a surprise result. The rain is set to dissipate over the next few minutes. and we could see potentially dry Q2. We'll have to wait and see. But the rain is definitely getting lighter, so it's very important to make sure we're out there at the end of the session, just continuing to circulate to set laps. And you never know, if there's a complacent team out there, we can get them if they don't set a time at the end of the session. So here we go. Second set of intermediate tires, lowering the fuel load. I think we only have enough time to get out there and do one more lap, which is what we're going to do.
So far, our fastest lap is a 1 minute 19.0. All complete. Mechanics, please stand clear. We're ready to go.
And the team is holding me. Team is holding me. Come on, guys. We need to go. There's less than 2 minutes to go in this session, and it's in the wet. This is going to be a very slow outlap. Hamilton is not going to set a time right at the end of the session. This reminds me of Alonso and Hamilton back in the McLaren days. Alonso holding up Lewis so that Lewis couldn't set a time at the end of the session. But, you know, there's no malice in that. It's just stupidity of the team. They should have held Lewis and let me go so I could set my time, because Lewis's session is already over. So off we go. We've got 1 minute 12 to set a lap time, and we're only just going to make the line by 2 seconds. So there we go. A bit of a lifeline. We're in P15 in this session, which is actually safety. So we're going to see if we can improve even further. Like I said, the track is getting faster. I'm not sure where... Oh, well, Hamilton's a P17. I wasn't sure where he was. He's definitely out in Q1. So that's already a guarantee that we're going to out-qualify our teammate. I think for the first time this season, Lewis has really had the measure on me over the last few races. And we're finally getting some momentum on Saturday, which is nice to see through the middle sector now. And to be honest, this is where it can be really treacherous if you overstep the mark. I'm pushing, but I'm not like going crazy, because the second you overdrive the car is when you throw away so much time. So I'm just trying to find that balance, that controlled aggression. Seems to be working out so far, as we're 2/10 up as we head into the third sector, attacking the braking zone at the ripple strip there. Ran a little bit wide than what I would have liked, but still a pretty solid lap. We're in P16, which in real F1 would not be safety, but because there's an extra team and 2 drivers, that is actually still safety. We're going to improve again as we round the final corner and go up to the line. It's near 4/10, and it does guarantee that we make it through to the next session. And there we go. We are out of Q1. The good kind of out of Q1. We're into Q2. For the first time this season. Hallelujah. I thought for all money, Lewis Hamilton was going to be the man who broke that stranglehold for us. But it's me. What a surprise. Anyway, we move on to Q2, and as you can see, track is quite dry. I don't really know what I put that spin down to be honest. Maybe just a lack of grip for the inters. Oh, I would say overheating, but that was me starting a lap, and I just lost it. So that was game over. Track dried out, and yeah, as you can tell, we had no pace because we were fast in the wet, not so fast in the dry. We were decent in the dry, but you know, that's where the natural order of things gets restored, because everyone has their grip and it's all fine. So we're still relatively a back market team, and we got exposed there in Q2. Would have been nice to have a full weekend of rain like we did in Season 2, but it's not to be. The race itself is also going to be dry, so we're going to have our work cut out for us. But with that said, we've qualified way higher than what we would normally. I think we've qualified last just about every round up until this point. So we're actually going to have some track position heading into the race. So we'll see what we can do with this. Naturally, the pace looks pretty good. We'll see if we can move forward further in the race. We are usually stronger in the race than we are in qualifying. This could be our first bout of points this season. I'll be aggressive, and I'll see what I can do.
Welcome along then to the North Sea coast and Zandvoort, 25 miles away from Amsterdam, and the host for today's Dutch Grand Prix. It's a race the great Jim Clark won on 4 occasions, leading for an astonishing total of 370 laps.
With the race just minutes away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. Alexander Albon put in a great lap yesterday in qualifying, and he'll start from pole position. Huh? I'm blown away by that. Absolutely blown away. Crofty, I can't do this. You take over.
Ricciardo, Ocon, Kevin Magnussen and Leclerc, Day, Latifi, Antonio Giovinazzi and Lewis Hamilton, De Vries, Matsushita, Verstappen and Mick Schumacher. Now, it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track.
Let's see if we can take advantage at the race start to gain a few places. Otherwise, we're looking at a bottom half finish again.
Mate, I reckon we could get P1 by the end of turn 1 and we'd still be on target for a bottom half finish. Don't know what you're on about, Jeff. But anyway, I understand the thought behind that. Alright, let's do this. I'm motivated. Let's see if we can get up the field. We're on the hard compound tyre today, and we're going to see if running long is the way to go. The hard compound tyre is one in which I don't use often in the F1 game. But you know what? It's a pretty good tyre, and I'll explain why as we get into the race. 5 red lights, and we are underway for the Zandvoort Dutch Grand Prix, and you can bet your bottom dollar we were guaranteed to have a shocking start on this compounded tyre. But somehow we managed to hold position as we head through turn 1, following in the footsteps of Charles Leclerc, in the wheel tracks of Charles Leclerc. As you can see, Giovinazzi coming out of nowhere around the outside. It's 3 wide on this back straight, and Giovinazzi backs out. It's side by side for us and the Ferrari driver of Charles Leclerc as we run up in a ridge and overtake down into standard now through this very fast right-hander. And Charles Leclerc goes all the way around the outside through the double right-hander. Fair bloody play. That was incredible. Stand up, Charles Leclerc. That has got to be one of the moves of the season right there. Bloody hell. Impressive. So we, in the end, all that fighting, all that squabbling, a yo-yo of a start for us, and we end up exactly where we started. Here's the start for Jack Aiken, shooting into the lead past Alexander Albon in the Red Bull, who is doing an absolutely stellar job to put that thing in pole position, but he's now in a Mercedes sandwich, so we'll see how Mercedes manage that situation. But once again, the form man of the season, Jack Aiken, is off to a flying start. How's my teammate Lewis Hamilton, also on the hard compound tyres? Not so good. He gets overtaken by Max Verstappen on the left-hand side. We had a grid penalty, and he loses a spot to the Haas as well. What a shame. So not a great start for Lewis. For both of us, it looks like it's going to be a long-term strategy ploy. Man, that was close. Giovinazzi, I didn't even have eyes for him, to be honest. I was trying to go around Leclerc, and then Giovinazzi gave me the biggest scare of the race. It doesn't say much given that it's the first lap still, but yeah, there's all the replays, and in the end, Leclerc came out on top. I had to back out in the end. I had the inside heading into that right-hander, but I wasn't far enough alongside, and diving up the inside of that part of the track is just not smart. It's not an overtaking area, so had to back out. We'll play the long game. We are on the hard compound tyre. It might have been hard to contain Leclerc anyway, given he's in a Ferrari and on a faster compound, so in the end, I think we just did the smart thing and let him go. So now we can settle into our race a little bit. You can see running out of the ERS deployment at the end of that first lap. We used up our allocation. Still plenty good on the battery though, 87%. Such is the recovery rate of the battery around here. A lot of off-throttle zones of the track where you can recover quite a bit of battery. And hey, Giovinazzi lets us know that he's there. Thank you very much. Here comes Verstappen as well, who we want to watch out for in this Grand Prix. As you can see, that's a dodgy dive bomb, if ever I've seen one, coming from the dodgy dive bomb enthusiast. We have a yellow flag in Sector 2, and this is for Alexander Albon, our contender in the Red Bull, the only man trying to put pressure on the Mercedes, and he is now out of this Dutch Grand Prix. What a shame. There is no one now that's going to be able to challenge Mercedes in this race. Have a look at those Dutch fans. Absolutely savage, cheering on Albon's retirement. Are you joking? Short-term gain for Verstappen, long-term loss, I would say. As you can see, a move up the inside into turn 1. He gets past Giovinazzi, but then has to back down to me.
Fucking talk this. Mate, what can I do?
Engine 1, position 7. Engine 1, position 7.
Oh, okay, so the team are telling him to turn up the engine, and here he goes past Giovinazzi without the help of DRS. That was quite impressive. The Red Bull chucking off all the sandbags now. The reason why I said it was a short-term gain for Verstappen, long-term loss for Albon's retirement is, you know, Red Bull need all the money they can get from the constructors, and them not performing well and not having good reliability is not going to favor them long-term in their quest to beat Mercedes. But here you can see side by side for myself and Verstappen. He has the inside line. I've squeezed him to the inside. I've cramped him, and we're able to actually get the move done because the next left-hander was the inside for us. And in the end, Verstappen loses the spot to Giovinazzi. So it's back to square one for Max. He'd be absolutely raging. Here he comes again with the DRS on the main straight, down the inside into turn 1. Can he hold it? Yes, he can. He's on the soft. And that Alfa Romeo is nowhere near as good as what it used to be. It's no longer the rocket ship in a straight line with those Ferrari power unit nerfs. But Verstappen makes quick work of him for the second, maybe even third time in this race. Here he comes again to the outside. He goes at turn 1. Bearing in mind, this is arguably the best car in the field we're fighting up against. The Red Bull has made sizable upgrades in the last race or two. And so I'm doing my best job to keep him at bay. This is all probably in vain. But you never know. This could be for position at the end of the day. I don't know what strategy Max Verstappen is on. He might be on a 2-stop. We're definitely doing a 1. But with the tyre wear upgrades of Red Bull, you'd probably assume they can do a 1-stop from here. As you can see, Max just forcing his way through. I did run wide slightly. Oh, we're going for another dive. Another one. And we're back through on Max Verstappen once again. That was very, very cheeky of me. I mean, at this point, I'm holding us both up a little bit. We're losing touch to Leclerc and Magnussen. But to be honest, before Max even arrived on the scene, those lot were gone. And so at this point, I'm just fighting for whatever I can get in this race now. I'm banking on a safety car late on to bail us out, and then we can go for points maybe. But for the time being, trying to, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just being a pest, really. I think I'm probably going to need an escort out of this place because the Dutch fans are not going to be treating me too well on exit. You can see, speaking of exit, good one there for Max. He takes a position, and I think this time he's going to keep it as we run through the middle sector. Verstappen is clear, and I reckon he'll be having a massive sigh of relief after that one. That went on for far too long. But anyway, we still got 28 laps to go in this race. Long old Grand Prix, this one. So we're playing the long game. The reason why I'm using the hard as well, it's a pretty good tyre. It's more durable. It has a wider working range of temperature. So you suffer a lot less for thermal degradation on this tyre. And it actually just feels nicer, to be honest, than, say, the medium or the soft. It's gone to the days of, like, F1 2012, where the hard compound tyre just felt like absolute garbage. This tyre, although it may be slow and it might have slightly less grip than, the mediums, for example, it doesn't feel absolutely horrible and chunky with understeer to drive. It's the longer you drive it, the better it gets, obviously. Tyre wear not as harsh, and fuel load comes off, and it does feel nice right throughout the stints, believe it or not. But anyway, getting into a decent way into this Grand Prix now. A lot of the midfield runners, or the top 10 runners who started on softs, are now making their stops and rejoining in the realms of where I am. So this could really favor into our hopes of getting points today if we can stay with them, if we can, hold them up and just make sure we hold position, because we chuck on a set of softs at the end of the Grand Prix, we will be absolutely flying. And speaking of flying, here comes Lance Stroll up the inside into turn 1. Remember, this is the 4th best car. Well, it's definitely in the top 4 of car performance, but the results does not reflect that for Racing Point, unfortunately. Here comes Stroll again, round the outside, down into turn 1. Favor the inside here. You can just squeeze people out on exit, but for the most part, people don't exactly have the grip to go round the outside of turn 1, so inside is your best bet. But anyway, here's a battle, an emerging battle for the race leaders. This is Jack Aiken doing the undercut strategy on his side of the garage for Mercedes. Valtteri Bottas is going to stay out that one lap later. So we'll see how that fares for the Finn. But you can see it's not been a good decision for Mercedes, for Jack Aiken, as they rejoin in heavy traffic. I believe that was Charles Leclerc that Jack Aiken emerged behind. It could have been Charles Leclerc. You know what? In actual fact, as I stutter all over the place, I think that was George Russell. But anyway, doesn't matter. Here comes Valtteri Bottas on the very next lap, and it looks like the overcut is going to work for his side of the garage. Here comes Jack Aiken. Yeah, it's and the overcut is very, very potent around here because Jack Aiken was circulating around on cold, hard compound tires, whereas Bottas still had softs that maybe had a bit of life in them, and they were able to make them work. So it's really come up trumps for Valtteri Bottas, and the traffic factor for Jack Aiken all compounded that issue. And now Jack's got it all to do. He's got to fight back into the lead. He's got one lap older tyres now. And we'll see how that battle emerges with keen interest. He has been the form driver of the two. So this is really going to be a big test for Jack Aiken in this Grand Prix. Meanwhile, Lance Stroll soars past us at the halfway point of this race. We're still having to wait for our pit window. It's probably going to be around lap 26, 25. And then we can put on the softs to go to the end, go for fastest lap maybe. And, if we're really lucky, get a VSC or a full course caution to bunch up the field. And then we have a real chance of getting points. That's why I've gone for this strategy. There's almost no point using the faster tyres in traffic. It just would have been a waste. And so I think our only chance of getting a good result today was through this strategy. So we'll see if it pays dividends by the end of the Grand Prix. But for the time being, we really are struggling. You can see Daniel Ricciardo is all over us. This is the second time I've made this mistake. Just missing the apex there ever so slightly by like a car's width. And that allows Ricciardo to go up the inside. We get him straight back though with another dodgy dive bomb. You never know, these positions could prove crucial at the end of the Grand Prix. If we could just hold these guys at bay, we can keep them at arm's reach maybe when we go onto the softs. As you can see, I was just asking about the status of my teammate, Lewis Hamilton, wondering where he was in this Grand Prix. And, right as I was asking that, he was pulling into the pit lane anyway. So here he goes, onto the softs. He's actually come in earlier than I have. I was meant to come in like 2 laps ago. But I'm stretching it out. I'm waiting for a VSC or a safety car. In the end, it's not coming. So we finally have to respond to Lewis to make sure we don't get jumped by him. Tyre wear is pretty high, 71% on the front left. So those front tyres were really starting to be a bit sketchy. I was just getting understeer everywhere, and I was just falling very vulnerable to those around me. And so I thought it was just counterproductive to stay out any longer. And so onto the softs we go. A quick little blast to the end of the Grand Prix now, and we'll see if we can charge towards some points. But as you can see, we're a long way off the points pack. If you look at the mini-map, the only person immediately in front of us is Antonio Giovinazzi in the Alfa Romeo. So this may well be the maximum we can get out of this Grand Prix. It's a pretty tough circuit to overtake at. Even with the tyre advantage, there's no guarantee that we can get past him. So we'll see what we can do. We're running with a new setup, or we ran a new setup last season. I think 4.7 wings. The old setup that we used to have was 6.11, and so it meant that we were very, very fast, over qualifying in clear air, but we couldn't overtake anyone, and we were very susceptible to being overtaken ourselves, whereas now, in this last season or two, we've really improved our overtaking capabilities. So let's hope that the lower downforce works out for us. We're going to have the DRS and the benefit of fresh tyres here to get past Giovinazzi. This is still our fastest lap attempt. We come across the line and we do go faster. 1.7 seconds clear, 109.7. Pretty good lap there for us. And, if we do get in the points now, that's a bonus one for us in this Grand Prix. But, either way, we've taken a point away from one of the top teams. Let's see if they have any response in the final few laps. Here's Giovinazzi, a little bit slow, a little bit compromised as he heads through turn 1. He's on old hard compound tyres, so he's starting to feel... Oh my goodness, that was sketchy. Giovinazzi is starting to feel the effects of that really bad understeer that I was getting in the hards towards the end of my stint. And yeah, very aggressive, very ballsy on that move there. Bit of contact, but in the end, I think that's a fair move. No damage lost there. But anyway, we cut again to the battle for the lead. That was just immediately after the pit stops for those guys. We're now going to fast forward about 10, 15 laps into the future now, where things have really calmed down in the Grand Prix. Jack Aitken lost a bit of ground to Valtteri Bottas over the mid part of the race, but now he's starting to close him in again. Now he's starting to look threatening. Perhaps he was saving his tyres through the middle part of the race. He saw those early wobbles for Bottas and thought, you know what, my best chance of winning this race is by looking after the tyres and having a strike towards the end where Valtteri's tyres might be a little bit dead. So that is exactly what he's doing. At this stage, there's about, 10 laps to go, maybe less. And he's looking to make his move now as he goes up into overtake. No, he doesn't. It's still orange. There we go. Now he's up into overtake. DRS is open. He has a little look up the inside into turn 1. But I tell you what, if Jack Aitken turned on the overtake button a little bit earlier, he would have got him into turn 1. We fast forward to the next lap. This is on board with Bottas, looking out the rear wing. Here comes Jack Aitken. He's even closer than he was before, so this might be a good chance for him to steal the lead off of his teammate. To the outside he goes, and this is Mercedes v Mercedes at the front of the field. This is what you love to see. And Jack Aitken comes out on top. Great move there. Around the outside at turn 1. I said the outside line does not work there, but he's proven me wrong. Fair bloody play. And he only goes and steals the fastest lap of the Grand Prix off of me in the process. Wow. That's hard compound tyres that have been on the car for a very long time. The best part of 20 laps. And Jack Aitken is setting fastest laps for fun. Here comes Max Verstappen, 109.2. Fastest lap for him. Lewis Hamilton hasn't made any progress, really. He's stuck behind one of the Haas's, as we saw just a few seconds ago. Bottas then gets the last laugh with the fastest lap brigade. But I don't think Jack Aitken will care. He gets the Grand Prix victory. And in the end, order is restored within Mercedes. Great effort from him. Lewis Hamilton trying to put pressure on the Haas, trying to get in front, but in the end, it's for no points. It's all for pride, really, and a real shame that Lewis wasn't able to do anything on those softs relative to the Haas drivers. I think that's Nicholas Latifi who was trying to get past there for P18. Unbelievable. But here we go for us. Come around the final corner. After all the adventures today, it's going to be P15. Exactly where we started.
That's the end of the race. We'll see you in Parc Ferme.
So, another fantastic victory for the Silver Arrows. Tell me, Ant, how did they manage to achieve this win?
I think that smart tyre management on track and very smooth driving definitely assisted in their victory today. That combination meant they got the absolute maximum out of their tyres at all times.
After an excellent performance at the Grand Prix, I'm sure there'll be plenty of celebrations tonight amongst the Mercedes team, and they certainly deserve it.
So there we go then. A pretty convincing victory for Jack Aitken. That was really impressive. Possibly a coming of age for him to show some composure, some maturity after losing the lead by virtue of the overcut for Bottas, fighting back and then getting him at the end of the Grand Prix. That is certainly one way to assert your dominance in this field. GG's to him. That's his third win in as many as 4 races or something. Pretty crazy. Bottas getting the fastest lap to round out a Mercedes 1-2. They're looking pretty formidable. Not a good day for Red Bull, of course. Max Verstappen starting at the back with a grid penalty. And then on the other side, Albon with the retirement. So it looks like Red Bull don't have the greatest longevity or durability because they risked it with Albon's car, couldn't make it to the end, and then they played it safe with Verstappen, started the back, and you saw how that turned out. So not a good day for them. They really need to sort that out because they do have the pace to be the fastest car, but if they're not getting regular points finishes and not challenging them on the podium, that being Mercedes, they're not going to be anywhere in this championship. So there we go. In terms of us, we ended up finishing exactly where we started. But, you know, don't let that take away from the fact that we are actually making progress in this field, in this championship. We're slowly getting some updates on the car. You know, we finally get out of Q1 for the first time. We showed glimpses of speed here and there. We did get the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. You know, when other times we tried earlier in the season to go for a fastest lap and we've been nowhere. So we are bridging that gap to the leaders. The problem is everyone else is improving at a very similar rate. So it's going to be a slow burner. We're going to continue to pile on the updates and hope to be in the midfield fight. At least the good thing is that, you know, when we can make solid inroads on the midfield, everything's so close that we'll go so quickly from being a back marker to really challenging inside like the top 5 because that upper midfield is so close. So it will be, or it might be, a pretty quick jump once we can get the ball rolling. Just need to get a few more updates on. Hope that a few of those don't fail and we should be okay. But driver standing wise, Jack Aiken looking pretty formidable. Max Verstappen with a 1 point out of today's Grand Prix loses a lot of ground, unfortunately. And for us, still no points for either myself or Lewis. Constructors wise, P10. We need to be up there in third, challenging AlphaTauri. We are 61 points adrift of them. And the longer we go without points, the steeper that mountain becomes to climb. So again, let me know your thoughts on the possible financial expenditure of the money. Should we upgrade all of the facilities and have a rapid expansion? Or shall we just continue along the development path we're on now and possibly risk losing Lewis Hamilton halfway through this season? That's the dilemma we face. Let me know down in the comments. Thank you guys so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe to the channel if you're new to see plenty more racing game content. The next race is the Spanish Grand Prix. And then I think after that, we have Monaco, baby. So, yeah, we'll see how we go. Spain hasn't been a good circuit for us in the past. And we don't have amazing downforce, so might be pretty tough. So we're probably looking most likely Monaco for our first points of the season. But even then, that may be a stretch. We'll just have to wait and see. Until the next one, guys, I'll see you next time.